Hey everyone, so for today's video, I'm going to be reviewing the Fenty Eavesdrop Blurring Skin Tint. I definitely planned on doing this a lot earlier and I nearly skipped the video altogether, but then Fenty, it seemed like kind of out of nowhere, has come out with these new Bright Fix Eye Brighteners. So what I thought I would do is pick these up, give you guys my thoughts on these, and then also include a review of the Eavesdrop. I hope that you guys find the video helpful, and if you do, if you enjoy all of the demos, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. That way I know. MAC has also come out with the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. I've been trying it out. I wanted to drop in a little bit of a comparison between these two, not only because I feel like MAC Face and Body is a foundation that a lot of people have tried, but I also feel like both of these have the same kind of consumer base. All right, but let's get into the Eavesdrop. So it comes in 25 different shades, and I have the shade number 2. I actually think that this shade is a pretty good shade match for me. Fenty kind of describes this as perfect for a more no makeup look, but it's also going to give you a little bit of that blur and that airbrush. It's going to be light and really easy to apply. So I was immediately really excited by this launch because I have said this before, I feel like a lot of more skin tint and light coverage products feel a little bit like they're all the same. Most skin tint products look fresh and they look nice, but when you're paying a little bit more money, I really start to look for that kind of X factor, something that kind of sets the product apart from, you know, the whole pack. And the fact that this was a very inclusive shade range, the fact that this is going to give you a really beautiful blur to your skin while also giving you a no makeup look, all of those things were really lining up in my mind to be a perfect launch. The texture of this is very fluid, so you have to make sure to really shake it up. But you'll notice when you spread it out that there is definitely a slip to this product. You certainly will feel a little bit of that silicone slip, which is not a bad thing necessarily, especially if you want a product that really glides well on the skin. A little bit of silicone can really go a long way in a formula, I think, so that there's less resistance on the skin, especially if you have textural issues and you want a little bit of that blurring effect. A little bit of silicone will definitely help to smooth everything out. For me, it gives me about a light to a medium coverage. Like, I feel like there's certainly nice coverage with this product. So if you want something that is going to cover up some pigmentation, but also be more of a lightweight kind of skin tint product, then I do think that this is going to give you a little bit of extra coverage. Unfortunately, I really feel like this is just a high maintenance makeup item. Let's talk about the finish, because I think that the finish is really key and what makes this product different than a lot of the skin tints that I've used, but also a product that just doesn't get along with my skin. So this will give you a very skin-like matte finish. So I actually found it to look pretty drying on my skin, especially around areas with significant textural issues. So when I have had more dry, flaky skin, this is like, just don't wear it, because it's not going to look flattering on the skin whatsoever. But there have also been kind of good skin days for me, and I have applied this foundation and like every wrinkle on my forehead has looked exaggerated, especially around my nose and on my cheeks. I find that I can see it sitting on my skin, but it also doesn't like to adhere to those areas very well for me. The nose both looked dry and also like the product wasn't on the skin, which was a really weird kind of dichotomy for me to wrap my head around, because I'm like, it's not sticking to that area. My nose didn't look dry before that, but now it looks dry. On good skin days where I've properly prepped my skin, this just doesn't really want to blend into my skin. Because of the silicone slip, it's also very streaky, so I typically like to try and apply this with fingers because I've heard people have great success with their fingers. And then I'll take a sponge and kind of press it back down into the skin. But this is very difficult to work with because of the texture. I find that I'm kind of sitting there trying to get the product to blend in, it takes a while, which is not ideal for an easy kind of no makeup skin tint product. Something else that I don't like about this is that because it's a blurring product, you would typically want a product like that for people with textural issues. And I don't even mean textural necessarily meaning flaking skin. I'm talking about bumpy skin, etc. And I felt like this just made all of those areas look very flat, and not in a flattering way, unfortunately. I have to speak from my personal experience here. I do feel like this has been a pretty polarizing product. There have been some people that have really loved it, and then some people that have had a similar experience to me and that just didn't get along with their skin. If you have oily skin, I would love to hear your experience with this item. For me, I found it to be a very fussy product, and because this is silicone rich, I also felt like I had to pick my sunscreen wisely and I had to pick the right moisturizer, because a product like this, you know, if you put it with the wrong product, it's going to pill up as well. And on top of that, products didn't like to go on top of it. I felt like if I was putting cream blush on, the foundation would kind of move and slip around under it. I do think that this gets along better once it's worn for a little bit of time and it's kind of warmed up with the skin. But this is just such a finicky product, and I love for makeup, especially base products, to be dependable and really easy. I don't want to fight with my base product every time I apply it, especially because base products are like my favorite to apply. I love applying foundation and concealer and blush. That's like my favorite part of my makeup routine. That was the experience that I had. But I also wanted to very quickly talk about the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body. I feel like people that might be interested in this would probably be interested in this. MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body comes in 30 different shades, and they describe this as an ultra-light, waterproof, radiant veil of coverage. All of these things I find to be very true. I think it's also worth noting now that I have tried the original MAC Face and Body, and really the only thing that I feel has changed are the shades. This is the shade N0, and it is a pretty freaking good shade match for me. It's what I'm wearing on my skin today. This is actually the new launch that I would recommend over the Eavesdrop. This looks incredibly seamless on my skin. It certainly is just that beautiful skin-like veil of coverage. It doesn't have quite as much coverage as the Fenty Eavesdrop. That's something that I really liked about the Fenty. I liked that it gave you that close to medium coverage. This is definitely more sheer, but I do feel like my skin looks healthier when I've applied it, and that's something that's very important for me when I'm looking for base products. I really want it to be that kind of skin enhancing look. I want it to really sink down into my skin and become one with my skin, but I want that soft radiance, and I feel like this is that product for me. It's definitely more on the lightweight side, and I do feel like once you kind of activate this product, I usually like to mix it in between my fingers and then apply it on. It slowly starts to get thicker. It usually is very, very thin, but then when you kind of activate it and rub it between your fingers, thickens up a bit, and then it applies onto the skin and really, really adheres well to it. And I think that's what makes this really good for multiple skin types. I've actually heard of people with more oily skin also liking this, but don't get me wrong, this is certainly more of a dewy product, but I really enjoy that it likes to stick to the skin and hold on to the skin, not in a sticky way, but a way that will make this last a little bit longer. It doesn't make my skin look textured or dry. The price per ounce is also better because this is $33 for 1.7 ounces, and with the Eavesdrop, you get just a little bit over an ounce. There's also a lot of shades to choose from as well with MAC, so I would personally recommend this over the Fenty Eavesdrop. I know they're not completely similar products, but if you tend to prefer similar base products to me, then that's what I would say. Now let's talk about maybe, like, I was probably even more excited to try out the Bright Fix Eye Brighteners from Fenty because I am a lover of all things concealer, and they mentioned that this was going to be a really beautiful no makeup correcting product that was going to make your under eyes look very hydrated and bright. Being someone with dry skin and also having some dark circles and some sunkenness, I was like so excited to try this. I have two different shades. I have the shade Rose Quartz as well as the Seashell shade. The Seashell shade, I didn't think that this was going to be a tongue twister video. Seashell is a great shade for me because I felt like it really canceled out my darkness under my eyes very easily, and it didn't look like straight corrector. Like I could get away with just wearing this. The texture is pretty interesting. So it comes out in this little squeezy applicator, and it comes out pretty liquidy, but also creamy. For me, it was certainly a texture that I really liked with my under eye products because I don't like anything too thin because I find that that can sometimes get a little bit drying. So I felt like this texture was really nice. Now, what happens though when you apply it onto the skin is that it actually kind of sets down a bit and it gets a little bit thinner and it really sinks into the skin, which is a great thing if you want a very seamless look. But unfortunately, when it sinks down into the skin, it also clings onto any piece of dry skin that you have. I was really disappointed in this product for that reason. I felt like it was giving me dryness that I didn't even know I had with my normal everyday concealers like the Kosas Revealer Concealer, Maybelline Fit Me. These concealers don't make my under eyes look dry. My skin has been doing really well and it hasn't been dehydrated. So I was really surprised when I applied this under my eyes and it immediately looked flat and dull, and I looked visibly more tired. And that's exactly kind of the opposite of what you're going for with a corrector. My under eyes looked way more sunken, and again, it was giving me these little textural spots that I didn't have unless I put concealer on. If you deal with dryness under your eyes, if you deal with more sunken under eyes, I feel like you're not gonna like this. But you know what? I can see someone that enjoyed this and enjoyed the finish of it liking this because this is a nice kind of thinner texture corrector. I feel like I understand these launches together and that they'll probably work together well for someone that enjoyed the Eavesdrop. But if there's something I don't like in a makeup product, it's when I feel like I looked worse having applied it to my skin. I was going around with no makeup all day and I finally bought these, picked them up, tried them out, and I immediately looked in the mirror and I was like, I look worse. It is really unfortunate because I have been looking for some more correctors to try out for you guys and to recommend. I do think that these shades are really well thought out. I mean, I've always said this, but the shades are always both unique and very well thought out, especially within the Cheeks Out bronzers. I'm actually wearing the Cheeks Out bronzer on my skin today. Absolutely love that formula. So it is disappointing that I didn't like these launches from Fenty. I do still love a lot of Fenty products. I would definitely love to hear your thoughts though on these items. If you did find all of the demos and the swatches helpful, I would love for you to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And until then, I hope that you guys have a good one and I will see you in my next one.